Shalom. First off, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahawah Harkwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yatazakba with the GMS Nebraska camp. This is GMS Endeavor. And in this lesson, what I want to get into is how the table we eat at matters. And what I mean by that is really just going into this precept here, Psalm chapter 69, verse 22, which says, "Let their table become a snare before them, and that which should have been for their welfare, let it become a trap." Now, when you get into what that table represents, it is representative of one's understanding of the scriptures, and the main thing that's going to separate who the elect is from who the two-third is, one of the main things is, what the elect believes versus what the two-third believes. The elect is going to serve Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, but the two-thirds are going to read this book and think that they are still supposed to be calling on God, that they are still supposed to be calling on Jesus Christ. The two-thirds are going to be following after the belief of Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, every other walk but what we're supposed to be walking after. The doctrine that we believe and the powers that we call upon, that is very important to salvation. And so, a lot of our people read out of the same book that we read out of, but the understanding isn't there. The true knowledge and wisdom isn't there. And therefore, that's why it says, and that which should have been for their Salakia, and that which should have been for their welfare, let it become a trap. Because, like I said, they're reading out of the same book, but they're not calling on the right name. They're reading out of the same book, but they think that, they can be, yoked together with Edomites, that Edomites can make it into the kingdom, that everybody around them can make it into the kingdom. When you get into these scriptures, when you truly understand the truth, if Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has given you eyes to see and ears to hear, you understand, the correct teaching of these scriptures. So let's get Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. I believe it's 4 and 6. Yep, it says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children." And we are coming into a time where the knowledge of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, the knowledge of these scriptures is going to be very important to, your livelihood, to your survival in the times that we're coming into. We're coming into a time where the scriptures speak that the love of many is going to wax cold, that brother is going to turn against brother, that the scriptures speak about how for the lack of bread and tribulation that, neighbors are going to rise up against each other. We're coming into a time of famine. We're coming into a time of, where our lives are going to weigh in, or we're not going to know if we're going to be able to see the next day. Our lives are going to, weigh in the balance. We're coming into very serious, turbulent times. When this system that we're under crashes, and people start to lose their mind. People aren't able to go and get the things that they need. They aren't able to take care of their children. People are going to start turning against each other. When martial law is out on the streets, we're coming into serious times. But those who, let's get Isaiah chapter 33 verse 6, which says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation." It's the wisdom and knowledge of what? It's the wisdom and knowledge of these scriptures, the true wisdom and knowledge. We just read Hosea 4 and 6 where it says let's go back to it. It just said in Hosea 4 and 6, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." So it's showing that your understanding, your what if you know the truth or not matters. Because once you come into times where, people are chasing after you, where, Your homes are being invaded, where you're in a life threatening situation. If you call on Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ ain't gonna save you. But as the scriptures say in what, Proverbs 18:10, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. The true names, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. That is going to be a hedge of protection in the times that we are coming into. The knowledge of these scriptures is going to be a hedge of protection. And if you don't have the true knowledge, if you don't know the true powers, you're going to be left out there stuck. And this is the time to get that knowledge. While we are out there on the highways preaching this word, while these videos are up on YouTube, this is the time to get that knowledge. But you have, as the scriptures speak about, our people, roughly paraphrase, I believe is in the Wisdom of Solomon. Our people basically, turn a blind eye. Our people don't care that this warning is going out there. They're just living their lives. So when the time comes, and they run into situations where they need the oil that should have been gathered in this time, they're going to be left stuck. So let's go back to Isaiah chapter 33 verse 6, which says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. And when you go into that fear, it's having respect unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And it's deeper than just knowing. It's deeper than just knowing the names. It's deeper than just knowing the breakdowns of these scriptures, but it's walking within that knowledge as well. Because let's not get that twisted. The scriptures do say, many shall say, Lord, Lord. Have we not prophesied in thy name? Have we not cast out devils in thy name? The Lord shall say, I never knew thee. If we are calling on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, but we're walking in wickedness, we know better than the 2/3, because it takes faith and works. As a matter of fact, we'll go to Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 7. It says, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils. So it's by the faith and the works. But the faith is the first step. The works come after you have, been enlightened. Once you come into the faith of knowing, that's when you know what to do. But you need the instructions first, if that makes sense. You don't, if you get a box of Legos and you don't know how to build the structure, you can't just start building. You have to look at the instructions, and then that's where Salaki, the video got cut off, but as I was saying, you need the instruction manual to know how to build before you start building. And that's where, it comes in, where you receive the knowledge of the scriptures. You receive the knowledge of who the true powers are, of who you are. You receive the knowledge on how to repent and walk after the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and conform yourself to the Most High and not the ways of this world. So it takes faith and works. Faith without works is dead, as the scriptures say. But it says, for those who have the works in the faith, here in this scripture, it says that they shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation of my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Right? Because for those who do make it up out of here, for those who do walk in righteousness and attain salvation, they have been chosen from the beginning for that purpose. So at the end of the day, you have people set apart to be the elect. You have people set apart to be the 2/3. But we are still experiencing this all. We are still in these bodies where we have an illusion of free choice. While the path has been laid out for us by, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the scriptures still tell us to give diligence to make our calling and election sure. So, within that predestination, we are supposed to walk as if we have been predestined to be the elect. And what I mean by that is, you put on as the elect, as the scriptures say. You walk after the fruits of the Spirit. You call on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You beseech him in time of need. In time well, we always need Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, but in times of danger and when everything's okay, you calling on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. That's what the elect would do. You're praying, you're fasting, you're studying, you're gathering your oil for the time to come. And you're hoping that we're hoping that we have been those who have been predestined, but you have those of our people who are caught up doing everything else but turning to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, and it's not hard to see that they are the 2/3. It's not hard to see that they're sitting and eating at the wrong table. That they're they don't have the correct knowledge. Let's read on. It says, "Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments." And the scriptures tell us about evil times to come. There are evil times coming upon the earth. The spirit that the Lord is about to put upon the people of this earth is going to be a very, you know, the love of many is going to wax cold. That spirit today where people are polite to each other and, we're walking amongst each other like everything's all right. That's finna go out the window. People are going to be in a survival mode. People are going to be in, the worst of people is about to come out. And like I said, if you don't have that hedge of protection, then you're going to be caught out here stuck. The scriptures talk about people. Let's grab that real fast. Sirach chapter 39 verse 28, it says, "There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force, and appease the wrath of them that made, or the wrath of him that made them." So the Lord is going to be putting spirits in people to carry out judgment, to do gruesome things to people, to do evil things to people. What else is the Lord going to have out here for judgment? It says fire and hail and famine and death. All these were created for vengeance. We're coming into a time of vengeance. That time of Jacob's trouble, where not only will it be trouble for the nation of Israel, but there's going to be trouble for everybody. But Jacob's trouble is going to be primarily focused toward, Jacob. That's going to be a great time of vengeance where all these things that is naming is going to be, bringing gruesome deaths and injuries and hell on people. It says teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. And so that's why we got to make sure that we're walking within the the right covering. We're following after the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, not the ways of this world. And the warning is going out there. But we just read in the second Ezra chapter 9, the 2/3 is going to cast it away despitefully. Even the people who are in this truth and they aren't changing their ways. They're walking however they want to. They're doing whatever they want to. They're walking in wickedness. You're casting away the Lord despitefully. It says actually that we can go to the next precept. This is the last precept I grab. Sirach chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, "Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him?" Right? But that protection, that protection only comes if you are really calling upon the Lord. And it happens, every week where we're being that light upon the hill. We're blowing the trumpet, warning our people of the times to come and letting our people know, which way they should be walking to walk into safety, which way that strong tower is, and they drive on past. Our people are still in the comment boards trying to argue. We're getting to the point where we're not about to argue with you. If you don't want to believe, it is what it is. Because the time is going to come where, the 2/3 are going to wish they had believed. The time is going to come where the 2/3 are going to wish they had got themselves right. And that goes for us as well. Because because we're in this truth don't mean we saved. Like I said, we have the faith, but we got to make sure we have the works as well. So like I said, it's gonna come a time we're not gonna argue with you, but the judgment for everyone's ways is gonna fall upon them, whether you listen or where you didn't listen. So it says, verse 11 says, "For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in time of affliction." And when you come unto the Lord and call upon Him, Yahweh Shai gives us grace. Yahweh Shai gives us, a cushion, knowing that, we're trying our best, but we ain't gonna get it all right. But you got some of our people who ain't even trying to turn unto Yahweh Shai. They don't have they're not, they're not taking on the grace that the Lord gave our nation. And so they're going to be judged as if the Lord, as if the Lord's death wasn't for them. For those who don't take on the covering of Yahweh Shai, they're going to be judged under the punishments of the Old Testament. This is the sin that you did, where here's the punishment for it, because you didn't fall under the covering of Yahweh Shai. So I just want to do this lesson, just putting it out there, that we're fighting to be defended in the times that we're coming into. That's our only hope. We're not gonna make it out here on our own. The people who are gonna make it through the times of evil to come are those who Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has, decided to protect through those times. Now you have some wicked that are going to make it through these times because the Lord is preserving them to eat a missile. But I mean for the elect. I mean for those who will be fed in those times by, the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. For those who are going to be protected and the evil is going to pass over them. That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting to be defended. And the time is short. Let's grab one more precept. Actually, it says in Romans 13 and 11, "And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed." And not only is our salvation nearer than when we believed, but all these evils that the scriptures prophesy are nearer than when we believed. So it is high time to get ourselves right. It is high time to make sure that we are put together and in the spirit, that we are prepared for the evils to come. And we got to be prepared for our family and those around us who we are acquainted with. If they not eating at the right table, these same prophecies and judgments that we read about will fall upon them. Now we hope that they will be defended. We hope that the Lord will have mercy upon them, but the Lord is going to judge whoever He wants to judge, however He wants to judge them. If they haven't been predestined, if the Lord doesn't decide to have mercy upon them, then that's what the Lord has decided. And we have to prepare and have the stomach for these things. We got to prepare and have the stomach to see the different judgments that the Lord is going to be putting on the people out in these streets, to hear the screams and the terror of the wicked, because the Lord is about to open the floodgates for judgment, and it's going to be commonplace to see death, to hear gruesome things happening, to be in perilous situations, and we have to mentally prepare for these things. And the prophets and the men of the Lord are only going to be out here warning for so much longer. We're getting nearer and nearer to that time. So hey, that's all I want to grab with this lesson. Once again, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahawah Harkwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, the elders of GMS, and the salutation unto the elect. Shalom.